He feels political win. He viewed it as will be a political win for me and a political loser for him. It's not about him. It's
He
not
can't even speak, bro.
about me. I'd be a winner. Not really.
He can't even talk.
Not really.
Okay, guys, I am going to be analyzing parts of Biden's State of the Union address. I fast forward to this point where he's talking about how America is facing a threat to democracy, and it became so incredibly dystopian because obviously the Supreme Court just voted 9-0 against the Biden's agenda to remove Trump from the ballot. So the greatest threat to democracy is literally the left trying to remove their opponents from the ballot. But let's see from the start. From the very beginning, you can tell, I just want to say before it gets going, that the virtue signaling, empty-headed, degenerate women on the left that demonize objective reality, all objective frameworks, logic, and reason can be seen wearing these white outfits. Their ideas don't garner any actual virtue or merit, so instead they have to pretend as though they are oppressed in order to garner merit from the Marxist ideology. So let's get right into this. I've seen tweets from Ben Shapiro saying that the start of this speech is essentially talking about the state of Ukraine rather than the state of America.
Good evening. In January 1941, Franklin Roosevelt came to this chamber to speak to the nation. I address you at a moment unprecedented in the history of the Union. Hitler was on the march. War
Oh my gosh, is he going to try to compare himself to Roosevelt?
Was raging in Europe. President Roosevelt's purpose was to wake up Congress and alert the American people that this was no ordinary time.
What a disgrace. They're literally trying to cosplay as competent. It's insane.
Freedom and democracy were under assault in the world. Tonight, I come to this same chamber to address the nation. Now,
you can tell that in the front row where the generals are, because, okay, you have Supreme Court justices, then you have the leaders of the military. They tried their very best to get as many women as they possibly could, and still there's only 2 women. It's pretty insane, because that's the result of immense DEI.
I come to this same chamber to address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment in the history of the Union. And yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either.
Okay, so we have so far Biden trying to compare himself to Roosevelt as he's one of the least popular presidents in history of the country, currently abiding in an invasion of our southern border to the tune of millions and millions of undocumented, unvetted immigrants.
Not since President Lincoln and the Civil War.
Just yesterday, by the way, if anyone's listening to this in the future, just yesterday, New York had to deploy National Guard soldiers in order to prevent crime in the New York subway system because leftist judges are so anti-objective frameworks, anti-morality, that they are letting criminals out of jail.
Have freedom and democracy been under assault at home as they are today? What makes our moment rare is that freedom and democracy are under attack both at home and overseas.
It's so insane. He's literally the person trying to remove his opposition from the ballot. And the Supreme Court, who's sitting in the front row, just voted 9-0 to stop him. You couldn't make this up, dude. You couldn't make this up. Democracy under assault. I wonder who's assaulting democracy at home. Could it be the people that are letting in tens of millions of illegal immigrants and saying that they should be able to vote? Could it be the people that are saying we should remove the opposition from the ballot? It's clear that these people don't care about reality and are expecting the people that support them to turn off their brains and completely disregard all ability to think.
At the very same time, overseas.
I seriously wonder what a radical leftist thinks to themselves in their head. Is it just the people that disagree with me are a threat to democracy? Are they still running that computer program, that archaic, anti-reality, Marxist brain rot? Because, I mean, they are quite literally saying on Twitter to remove Trump from the ballot, to keep people from voting for him. They are literally supporting an open border and have for the last 3 years. So, and also it's their position that they need to remove voter ID and allow these illegal immigrants, these unchecked illegal immigrants to vote. So I genuinely wonder what happens in their head. I think it's something akin to an emotional, animalistic response to tribal identity. It can't really be anything more sophisticated than that.
Putin of Russia is on the march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond. If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not.
So it's very clear that the writers of this speech required him to talk about this because Putin had that moment to address the entire world with Tucker, and hundreds of millions of people listened. So in many ways, I understand that forces the president's hand to spew propaganda. But still, no one wants to send troops to Ukraine. It's very unpopular, and he shouldn't be talking about this because Ukraine cannot win. There's literally no win condition for them unless we go there ourselves. And if that happens, I mean, he will be the least popular president in the history of all presidents.
Ukraine can stop Putin.
Ukraine cannot stop Putin. They're sending women to the front lines to fight and die in ditches.
Ukraine can stop Putin. A former Republican president tells Putin, quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." That's a quote. A former president actually said that, bowing down to a Russian leader. I think it's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's unacceptable.
Of course they're going to be talking about Trump during the State of the Union. What else would they talk about? He's literally more important than every single person in this room.
Just like History Watch 3 years ago on January 6th.
Of
When
course!
insurrectionists stormed this very Capitol and placed a dagger to the throat of American democracy.
Oh my gosh, such propaganda.
Many of you were here on that darkest of days. We all saw with our own eyes the
It's so
insurrectionists
funny.
were not patriots. They'd come to stop the peaceful transfer of power. To overthrow
The demonization is only going to continue as they become more and more unpopular. As more and more people see them as frauds, as people that are claiming to wield virtue, when of course they are the least virtuous people, most incoherent, dogmatically, ideologically possessed people, the demonization is only going to ramp up. I think that we can expect, as November approaches, for calls to dehumanize any person that wouldn't vote for this old senile buffoon.
the will of the people. January 6th lies about the 2020 election and the plots to steal the election pose.
Oh, it's so dystopian. It's so dystopian. The falsely elected president talking about something that he calls a theory. The fact that he would even bring this up validates the fact that it's real. It's insane. But of course, he knows that most people know that he cheated. Most people know what the mail-in ballots were. This is all part of the moral grandstanding that requires people to reject objective reality.
A great, gravest threat to U.S. democracy. Kate and her husband had to leave the state to get what she needed. What her family got through should have never happened as well.
Oh, we're going to be, okay, abortion propaganda. The left want to execute babies. Yeah, nothing new. We're not going to let them execute babies, not in the states that value morality.
Wealthy and the biggest corporations no longer get all the tax breaks. And by the way, I understand corporations. I come from a state that has more corporations invested than every one of your states in the state of the United States combined. And I represented it for 36 years. I'm not anti-corporation, but I grew up in a home where trickle-down economics didn't put much on my dad's kitchen table. That's why I determined to turn things around so middle class does well. When they do well, the poor go way up and the wealthy still do very well.
This guy has done more to damage the middle class than maybe any president. See how far $100 gets you. Everyone knows that inflation is above 20%. And it's because we're spending money, printing money to fend a piece of dirt in Eastern Europe that's not even a part of NATO.
Money. You're saving taxpayers' money. We cut the federal deficit by $160 billion.
You cut the deficit. You're spending trillions of dollars, spending like $1 trillion a month. You're not cutting anything. Insane.
Over 100. You know what the average federal tax is for those billionaires? No. They're making great sacrifices, 8.2%. That's far less than the vast majority of Americans pay. No billionaire should pay a lower federal tax rate than a teacher, a sanitation worker, or a nurse.
The top 1% pays for 42% of all taxes. The top 1% of 1% of 1% pays for like 30%. Elon Musk paid more in taxes than any other person in the history of the planet.
The billionaires at 25%, just 25%. You know what that would raise? That would raise $500 billion over the next 10 years.
500 billion over the next 10 years. You're spending $1 trillion a month. It's so insane. And of course, that's a very scary thing that he just said, because is he saying 25% of income or 25% of net worth? Because most billionaires, their net worth is really where the wealth is. So really what this is just communist bullshit.
And imagine what that could do for America. Imagine a future with affordable child care. Millions of families can get they need to go to work to help grow the economy. Imagine a future with paid leave, because no one should have to choose between working and taking care of their sick family member. Imagine the future of home care and elder care.
Imagine everything is perfect and all we have to do is tax the billionaires. Imagine everything's just fine. All we have to do is embrace communism, resent those that are more impressive than you, think that you're better than those who have outperformed you with no evidence other than the resentment of your ideology.
I believe that given the opportunity for a majority in the House and Senate would endorse the bill as well, the majority right now. But unfortunately, politics has derailed this bill so far. I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress in the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political win, he viewed it as a political win for me and a political loser for him. It's not about him. It's
He
not
can't even speak, bro.
about me. I'd be a winner, not really.
He can't even talk.
Not really.
He can't even speak right now. Bro, he can't even get his words out.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But
What?
how many of thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look, if we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing. And it's worth
And that's because of what you've done.
taking the chance of the $8,000. But if it's only 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money and come all that way, knowing that they'll be able to be kicked out quickly.
Kicked out quickly. There are millions of people coming across the border every single month. By the end of 2024, there's going to be close to 20 million illegal, undocumented immigrants that have come across the border. Basically an invasion. Absolutely insane.
Folks, I would respectfully suggest my Republican friends owe it to the American people, get this bill done. We need to act now.
Close the border. Work with Texas, but you don't want to. Biden could close the border, by the way. And Trump has encouraged him to do that, but Biden won't do that because Trump said that he should do it.
Demonize immigrants, saying they are poison in the blood of our country. I will not ban people because of their faith. Unlike my predecessor on my first day in office, I introduced a comprehensive bill to fix our immigration system. Take a look at it. It has all these and more.
No, you opened the border. That's the reason why tens of millions are crossing.
Year before I took office, and America is safer today than when I took office. Year
Whoa.
before I took office, murder rates went up 30%. 30% they went up. The biggest increase in history.
This State of the Union is such a disaster. Everyone can see their frauds. Everyone can see they're insane. There's been the most number of interruptions probably ever. I mean, they're basically openly just saying the opposite of reality, expecting the constituents that vote for them to be unthinking enough to not notice. He just said America's safer now than before he took office. Is that a joke? I mean, every single day we see going viral on Twitter another innocent person murdered by an illegal immigrant. Every single day. New York just had to deploy the National Guard to their subway system. Soldiers with AR-15s had to protect the subway so people could use public transit. And he's saying America's safer now than it was before. I mean, he's expecting the people that vote for the left to not use their eyes.
It was then, through my American Rescue Plan, which every American voted against, I might add, we made the largest investment in public safety ever. Last year, the murder rate saw the sharpest decrease in history. Violent crime fell to one of its lowest levels in more than 50 years.
Dude, what is he talking about? The cities that are falling apart have the highest crime rate they've ever had. They literally have to deploy the National Guard. He's just saying the opposite of reality now. Wow.
But we have more to do. We have community violence intervention. Give communities the tool to crack down on gun crime. retail crime, and carjacking.
Meaning police? Wait, who wanted to defund the police? Oh, that's right.
Through the federal classification of marijuana and expunging thousands of convictions for the mere possession, because no one should be jailed for simply using.
Everyone on the left is freakishly deformed. What was that? Freakish. Freakish.
Vice President is leading the charge. Thank you for doing it.
Deformed.
He's proud he did nothing on guns when he was president. And the leader defending democracy, you don't diminish it. I see a future where we restore the right to choose and protect our freedoms, not take them away.
As they're trying to remove their opposition from the ballot, getting voted 9-0 on the Supreme Court.
I believe in America. I believe in you, the American people. You're the reason we've never been more optimistic about our future than I am now. So let's build the future together. Let's remember who we are. We are the United States of America.
He's claiming that it's the United States of America after giving the most divisive speech ever, saying things that are the opposite of the truth, and every other sentence basically demonizing his political opponent, who 50% of the country vote for, while he also is attempting to remove his political opponent from the ballot, and he's saying he's trying to protect democracy. These people are not serious. They're not mentally, they're not mentally sane. They're not mentally connected with objective reality at all.